Hey, what's up, everybody? It's movie night, so I'm gonna watch Saw 2, which I have not seen in ages. Probably not since before the eighth one came out. And it's one of my favorite Saw movies out of the series. I love Saw 2. So it's holding a 37% right now on Rotten Tomatoes and 59% from the fans. So this movie cost about $4 million to make, and it went on to gross $154 million, a huge success. Tobin Bell was obligated to return, but he came back, and Shawnee Smith was really surprised how well the first one did, and she never thought she'd be back for Saw 2, and then she came back. Also, this is kind of interesting. Beverly Mitchell, who plays Laura in this movie, she was just like Shawnee Smith. She was not a fan of horror movies, so she actually took her like 5 or 6 times to watch the first Saw before she finally got through it and signed on the movie. And she thought that, or she said that it was very challenging for her to play the character, how she would just constantly be sick and coughing throughout this movie. James Wan and Lee Wanell didn't come back to direct or write this movie because they were doing a movie called Dead Silence. But Lee Wanell actually did the rewrites for this script. This was directed by Darren Lynn, was making his director debut. Well, before he got attached to Saw 2, he wrote a script for a movie that he was going to do called The Desperate. And Greg Hoffman, who is the producer of this movie, read the script and actually liked it, but then showed it to his other people that he wanted to be attached to this movie. And then they were just like, with the traps, with the characters, with the death, they pretty much just said, this is a knockoff of Saw. And this is kind of on the lines of plagiarism. So Darren Lynn was really pissed off that his movie that he wrote called The Desperate was getting claimed for plagiarism. So when Lionsgate actually called Darren Lynn was like, oh my God, Lionsgate's calling me up to basically sue me because that script is basically a knockoff and so close to Saw. But Lionsgate actually called him up and be like, hey, do you want to direct Saw 2? And he was totally in 100%. So they used all the characters in his movie, The Desperate, the traps, and the death, and that was basically Saw 2, which was also really cool that Fangoria magazine, there was an interview with the writers and Darren Lynn, and they took a lot of Saw fan suggestions for this movie. And this was the first Saw movie where you actually saw the deaths as it was happening, unlike the aftermath of the deaths. 95% of this movie was lines that was straight from the script, but 5% of the lines were off script, were just lines that Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith, and Donnie Wahlberg all just came up with on the fly to use, and Darren Lynn actually used it. So I can't remember if I said this before, but I think I did this. I think I said this in the beginning, like, oh my God, $4 million to make, and it went on to gross $154 million. And Saw 2, like I said, fantastic movie, my favorite movie of the series. So I'm about ready to get to watch Saw 2. So anyway, hopefully everybody has a great night. Take care and talk to you soon.